Bitcoin continues to move a little bit lower. I do have my next support coming up on Bitcoin at around 110,000. You can see this high pivot right through here, and that is a good level to watch to see if it holds. All right, so 110,000 wouldn't shock me if today or over the weekend we dip into that, if not early next week. And then the big question will be is, can we get a bounce? Now, again, the fact that we broke this down sloping trend line is of concern, no doubt about it. So be aware that we could get a bounce back. Don't be surprised if we go back to like 118,000. As long as we stay below this upsloping trend line, you got to be a little careful in the near term. Now, listen, long term, you zoom out on this chart, it's still very bullish. I mean, you can't deny it, right? So again, if you're a hodler, this is nothing to worry about. Maybe just utilize weakness as it goes lower. If Bitcoin goes lower and lower, you can always dollar cost average. But near-term investors and traders, if your outlook is a month out, yes, you are a little concerned about the price action in Bitcoin.
Gareth Soloway shares insights on Bitcoin and crypto trends, exploring market moves and future potential. Stay tuned to discover more.
Gold. Let's get over to gold real quick here. Gold is inching down a little bit. Keep in mind, gold likely will have a big move on whatever Jerome Powell says, just like the dollar and rates will. All right, so again, I still think gold is a little bit, in the short term, it looks a little weak to me, so I would still favor a little bit of downside there. The NVIDIA chart. This is the intraday NVIDIA chart, folks. You can see NVIDIA is lower this morning by about $2 and change. This is after China basically said, hey, they said to their own companies, they said, we'd prefer if you don't buy the H20 chips that NVIDIA is selling. And a lot of people are like, well, why? Wait a minute. You know, the administration in the U.S., we're going to get 15% of those revenues. I thought this was opening up China to obviously, you know, pay NVIDIA for these chips or these companies and bring in more revenue. But the essence of it is twofold. Number one, the H20 chips are kind of inferior. And so China's like, well, we don't want our companies to have inferior chips. And then number two is they're concerned, just like the U.S. is concerned about chips from China for security concerns. And so really it makes sense in terms of that, of why, but it's obviously a negative for NVIDIA. It's less revenue from China, and therefore NVIDIA is down. Now, if we turn back to the chart on NVIDIA, take a look at this. We have this longer term trend line that broke down, right? And anytime, and I said this many times over, but it's really important to say again, anytime you have a long-term trend line like this that's hammered on it so often, when you break it, it's usually not just a small move and then we just resume our uptrend. All right. Now, you can do a retrace to the underbelly of that. That's not unheard of. But in general, once you break, the chart is on basically a time clock for a bigger corrective move. And I actually have it priced in here that later this year, we actually should revisit this area around 153, which is our previous all-time highs before the latest breakout. And this is a classic breakout, retrace to the scene of the crime, and then the bulls, we'll see if the bulls can take over and propel it back up. Now, remember, NVIDIA has earnings next week as well, so that will be something to monitor.
Tom Lee is comparing Ethereum's rise to a historic financial shift, the 1971 abandonment of the gold standard. According to the Wall Street strategist, Ethereum could be experiencing its own gold moment, with a very high probability of eventually flipping Bitcoin in market value. His bold prediction comes as ETH hits fresh all-time highs, drawing massive attention from both retail and institutional investors. As the newly appointed chairman of BitMine Immersion Technologies, Lee is putting action behind his words. BitMine is aggressively building what he calls the alchemy of 5% strategy, aiming to accumulate 5% of Ethereum's circulating supply. In just 1 week, the company boosted its holdings to 1.52 million ETH, worth $6.6 billion, alongside 192 Bitcoin, cementing its position as the largest Ethereum treasury company in the world. This rapid accumulation is supported by bullish technicals. Analysts note Ethereum has outperformed Bitcoin by 17% in the past month, while patterns point to an imminent breakout. With Jerome Powell's dovish stance fueling renewed optimism, Ethereum's momentum could reshape the balance of the crypto market.
Now, I got to look at this chart, guys. This is a great chart here on KWeb. This is one of my favorite charts right now. In fact, I continue to kind of inch in on positions here in KWeb. Earlier this year, I gave out a big breakout right here, and it had like literally within days of me talking about it in this game plan, we had this monster move up. Well, look at this. Look at this trend line. I think we're going to get a breakout here to the upside on these China internet stocks. And one of the other things I'm monitoring is, so we have this trend line, but look at this. If we go in a shorter time frame and we connect this high, look at this. It's right there. It's borderline downsloping trend line. And if you look at today where it's trading in the pre-market, we're above this. So I think you're going to get a breakout here on the K-Web. My guess is, again, this has 10-20% upside within a few weeks written on it. We'll obviously watch and see. Likewise, Baidu, which is, again, another Chinese internet. It's basically the Google of China. This one has not broken out yet, but look at this downsloping trend line. Incredible trend line. If it can break out, major upside there. IQ was one I gave you guys a couple weeks ago. I said, guys, buy IQ. It broke out. It retraced into the scene of the crime. And then look at the move. I mean, that is an awesome move to the upside. $1.80 to a high of $2.50 on this play. It is already up, so I'm not really interested in picking this up again, frankly, because it's already run. But if it were to pull back, let's say to this previous, let's say $2, $2.15, then I do think it's interesting. All right, flipping over to earnings, there's not a whole lot to discuss here because there's not massive moves. Workday reported earnings yesterday after the bell, down about 4 to 5% on the morning session. In terms of a support level on this, I would really just be looking at this area down here around 205. So if it dumps out to 205, pivot low right here, secondary pivot low just above, that would be a potential day trade only level on Workday.
Ethereum is heating up as bullish momentum and investor confidence pave the way for a potential push to $5,000. Over the past month, network activity has surged 63%, while active addresses climbed 26%, showing clear signs of growing adoption and engagement. This burst of on-chain activity comes as ETH rallied to $4,716, its highest level in nearly 4 years, sparking $351 million in liquidations from bearish bets. The rally was fueled in part by comments from Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, who signaled possible rate cuts ahead, giving risk assets like ETH a strong boost. The optimism isn't limited to the spot market. Futures data shows open interest at $69 billion, with contracts now trading at a healthy 7% premium, up from just 4% earlier in the week. That shift highlights strong demand for leveraged exposure and suggests buyers are positioning for further upside. Despite some hesitation compared to rivals like BNB and Tron, Ethereum's fundamentals remain powerful. With robust futures activity, rising network usage, and supportive macro conditions, many traders believe ETH could soon smash through resistance and set a new all-time high above $5,000. If you have been watching so far, thank you so much for watching, and do not forget to subscribe to Bitcoinzilla for daily news all for free. That's all for today's video. Until next time.